Hello, I'm Jacob Hallex with the Johnsonian and Winthrop Close-Up, and we are speaking with Winthrop presidential candidate Dr. Jeff Elwell, but he likes to just go by Jeff.
Yes.
And we're here talking about what you can do for Winthrop University.
Wow. Okay. What can I do for Winthrop University?
All right. Well, you tell us. So, first of all, I think you were talking a lot about to students earlier today about how the role of the president should be very transparent. Could you go on about that?
Sure. I mean, I think obviously there's some things that everybody can't know, but in terms of decision making, especially things affecting students, I think you need to get input. You need to listen. You need to not be reactive. You need to be proactive, and it all should be out there. What you're thinking of, where you're going. It's sometimes difficult, and of course it depends on how apathetic or not the student body is. Sometimes there are only a small group of students who are interested in something, and sometimes it affects everybody. Clearly something like tuition. I know places I've been when we've looked at tuition increases, the chancellor or the president has worked with student government and sort of gotten their buy-in on how much it's going to be, is it reasonable, what is it going for, right? Because some things students are very heavily invested in and are saying, yes, I'm willing to pay more because we need to support our faculty better, or we need that new rec center. Clearly you guys don't. And something like that. And because if you don't have the buy-in of the students, you're in a bad place. It's not something you just do unilaterally, and it should be taken very seriously, especially in today's economy, because as you know, college cost has, greatly outstripped inflation. And so you want to be careful. And other big decisions, I think, that affect students or could possibly affect them negatively.
I think earlier you were also talking about opening up the president's house.
Oh yeah, well, my wife Edwin and I. It's the president's house, and there is a part upstairs where you live, and it's private. But it's the university's house. It's the students' house. It's the state's, and so it shouldn't be like this museum, and it shouldn't be for only formal events. It should be. And I'll just pander to you here, it should be, well, let's have the student journalists over for breakfast one morning, and people want to, and just talk about things. Not, here's an agenda, here's what you have to do, but what's going on? What are the issues? What do you need? What do you want? What do you see? And get information that way. I think that's the best way, because then it's a two-way street.
Earlier you were talking to students about how to maybe make Winthrop less of a suitcase school.
Well, and I think that's, I don't know all the moving parts, so that could be a more difficult thing, but I don't know if anybody's asked the students. In other words, what would compel students, or more students, you're never going to get everybody, to stay on campus? What type of events, what type of activities, what type of things do we have that would make it worthwhile, that they would say, I'd rather be here with my friends here than go home or go somewhere else. Now, I know a lot of people, I know you're a big Clemson Tiger fan, so if I said, here, I've got couple of tickets to the game, you're going to go there on Saturday and not stay here. But that's only a few Saturdays, quite honestly, in the fall. And I really think we need to find out what the students would like to see, and if we can do that, and how we can do that, so that more students are compelled, really, to stay on campus, want to stay on campus or in Rock Hill.
All right. Now, you were just enrolling your son last summer, right?
Yes. We came to orientation as a freshman in June, yes.
Yes, as the recent presidential debacle happened.
Actually, orientation happened, we were there like a day or two before. It really got, a lot of news coverage.
So, first of all, a two-part question. Could you talk about, as a parent, sort of how you felt, and then as president, how would you take over after something like that?
Okay. Ooh. As a parent, actually, I felt quite good, because it seemed that everybody else in the university was still doing what they should want to do, and it should be that way. It shouldn't be, because any of us, could get hit by a bus or get sick or something else happen, and so if you're relying on one person, any day you could have a disaster. So I think the people who were in place did a great job. I didn't feel uncertain at all, because I've been at places. I've been through interim, not quite that way, but interim leaderships when someone's accepted a job somewhere. and they're going, and you don't know who's going to be there, so you've got concerns. But the important thing is the university keeps running, right? And for the students, for the faculty, for the staff, so you're always moving forward, even as you're dealing with those types of issues. On the second, I mean, as a president, that's you know, I don't know all the circumstances. I do know some of them are what I've read in the media. And so I think you just establish that this is something new, and I think the best way to do that is not to come in and make changes, but, you know, to listen, to think about it, to get a lot of input before you start changing things which may have been in place for years and working fine. There's no reason to fix things that aren't working. On the other hand, there's things that aren't working you probably need to, you know, jump on and handle.
So you said whenever you were, your son was being recruited, that you visited a lot of different universities, and you
Right.
have the experience at a lot of different schools. So what do you think makes Winthrop unique?
The people, without a doubt, the people. The culture on campus. When we came to campus the first time, we were coming to admissions. We came for an unofficial visit on the way to a clinic up at Chapel Hill during his fall break from high school, and we thought we might not be in the right place. Rolled down the window, there were two students in shorts with backpacks walking. We asked them, they said, oh, it's this building here, and they kind of pointed. They said, hey, somebody's leaving that visitor parking spot, you should go take it. We did. We went into the building. It wasn't the right building, but we went into an office, and that person, that staff person, said, oh, I'll take you there. And I said, well, you don't have to take us there, we could walk, but just show us. We did that. He walked in, and they said, you must be Preston. It's like, he was like stunned. And then our experience the rest of the way, quite honestly, followed that, both in the recruiting and then in enrolling and moving in and everything since then. I mean, the responses have been great. It's very student-centered. It's clear they care about the students, they care about each other. You know, I'll say it's a family. So I think that's important. You don't want to move from family to a business model, say, well, this is how we need to do it because this is the bottom line. That's not it. You do need to be cautious and cognizant of the bottom line, but that's not why you do it. You know, we're a nonprofit institution.
Now, could you talk a little bit about the goal of possibly enrolling more students at Winthrop?
Sure. You know, I've read a lot of the discussion and the goals of increasing enrollment, and in today's economy, it's necessary. And I think Winthrop has a distinct advantage in that they already have a great campus, great faculty, things in place. It's beautiful here, right? You know, you go to a lot of college campuses, it's not attractive, quite honestly. You have new facilities, amenities that attract students. So I think you go out and you sell that, you market yourself, you go to the contiguous states, you go selected to other places. I've said a couple of times today, one thing I would want to do is I would want to go and host an event in some big city and advertise the heck out of it and have people come, and if, you know, Coach Kelsey could be there, but have students, have some faculty, have the president, and really recruit that. And I don't think we do that now. And I think it'd be a successful way. Hispanic population is growing and growing. We don't have very many Hispanic students. It doesn't make sense not to look to Hispanic students. It also creates more diversity, creates more activity. And I think, you know, all of those things. I mean, I think it's possible. It's not easy. And you've got to figure out how to attract, besides what it is, and get the name of Winthrop out there and more recognizable. Because once you go someplace, we did this at Nebraska, once you go someplace and people have a good experience, more people from that place are likely to think of Winthrop as an alternative, whereas now they may not know of it.
Okay. Could you speak a little bit about your abilities as a fundraiser?
Sure. I've been doing it probably, I don't know, certainly since the year 2000. I was at Nebraska, had a professional theater and had a board, and with a development officer raised money for both the department and the repertory company, erased debts, structural deficits that there were, and started an endowment. At East Carolina, we tripled annual giving and raised, I don't know, about $3.7 million specifically for music, theater, art, and communication. and had, I think, over 1,000 unique donors, I believe, at one point. People giving scholarships, people naming things, people funding professorships or helping to fund professorships. So it's, it didn't used to be a lot of the job of the dean. It is now, and it really does, I think, prepare you for a presidency, because one of the things you have to be is raise friends and funds eventually. But it's not one person. It's a team. It's cumulative. People who have had a relationship with Winthrop for the last 2 decades. They've had one president and another. It doesn't matter really who that is. You can blow it, but it isn't going to be me that raises the funds. It's really the team and the institution that will allow us to raise the funds to help support whatever it is people want to support and what we think needs support.
So what put you here as a finalist?
I have no idea. It's really been very surreal. Quite honestly, I'm not out looking at presidencies. This came up. I didn't expect it. When he decided to come here, that wasn't on the horizon. My son Preston asked me and said, "So you always get contacted by these firms? Are they going to contact you at this?" And I said, "Well, probably. I know the firm. I'll get an email at least, if not a phone call." And he said, "Are you going to apply?" And I said, "I don't know. I hadn't really thought of it in that terms." And the more I thought of it, he thought I should. I was like, okay. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. And here's the thing. I have a great job now. I work with wonderful people. I have great students. There are challenges like anywhere. This opportunity came up. It's probably, hopefully, whoever is Winthrop's next president will be here 10 years, 12 years. There won't be the instability there's been. It'd be great if I was that person, but if not, I hope somebody does that, because I think the institution deserves it, and I want to see, obviously, my son's experience be good. So it's sort of my philosophy. If you don't ask, the answer is no. If you ask, and so I think only a couple days before the deadline, I wrote a letter. I'm not churning out letters, being on the market. I wrote a letter that came from my heart and my head, and it obviously had some resonance, and the experiences I had match up in a lot of ways. And I was invited, they asked could they talk to references, and then invited to an off-campus interview, and then here. So it's almost head spinning fast, quite honestly, but that's just the way these things go.
Cool. And I have one final question. I know
Sure.
in the original job posting or something the Board of Trustees is looking for, they want someone who understands the culture of the region. So frankly, how Southern are you?
How Southern am I?
How Southern are you?
Well, I can tell you since I would say I'm a transplanted Southerner. I chose to come to the South. I've chosen to live in the South. I'm going to retire in the South. I grew up in Southern California, which doesn't count for being a Southerner, I know, and then went to LSU for J school. And other than the 6 years in Nebraska, which is a great experience, I've chosen to be and live here. I like the lifestyle, the people, the environment. So, I've chosen it, and they've chosen me. So, probably I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, so I was a valley, not a valley girl, but a valley guy. And I'm sure I retained some of that, but having lived in Alabama, Mississippi, West Virginia, Tennessee, and Louisiana, I pretty much see myself here and very comfortable with. My wife was born and raised in and outside of Paducah, Kentucky. I met her when I was in grad school, and she was a senior in college, and so I've been, it seems the right place, I'll say.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time with us.